This week on the 77% Street Debate.
I feel as though if our governments really took us a bit more seriously, more things would be implemented.
The biggest problem we have is the drainage systems and the roads as well.
My work is not about enjoying the beauty of the city. I'm always after the money.
We are led by people who don't have original ideas and don't know how to experiment to get to great ideas.
When you come to my place, I have the decks. I'll make sure that everybody is on top.
I like how you're saying, when you come to my place, please go to her place. Hello and welcome back to the 77% Street Debate. This week we are in the outskirts of Accra, Ghana. And that's because a lot of people escaping the pressures of urbanization are moving farther away from the center. And so African cities developing rapidly are facing a dire situation. And so today we're here to find out from some Ghanaians if there's a way that Africa can urbanize so that we become the cities of the future. And I want to start with Patrick. You are an Uber driver within the city of Accra. So you probably know the city inside and out. How would you describe how the city has been planned? Does it make sense to you? Is it a good city? Is it efficient?
Those areas that I don't want to go has high demand of riders. And I couldn't go there because of traffic and the road network. And if you want to chase the money and work in those areas, what happens is that you end up spending all the money on repairs. Yeah.
Okay, so let me hear from Sophia, who's a student in Accra as well. And as we were speaking earlier, you said to me that your biggest headache in the city is transport. Talk to me about that.
So sometimes too, you stand for more than an hour or more than 2 hours and the transport still hasn't arrived for you to pick. But sometimes with the private transport systems also, like the taxi and the Uber, sometimes it's very expensive for students like me. So we have to resort to the trotro or the public transport, which is sometimes really a headache.
So the transport system is not scheduled, it's not formalized. And I wonder, Christiana, if this is something that's a headache for you. You're dressed for your job. You are indeed in the medical fraternity, but dealing specifically with ambulances. So bad infrastructure could be a matter of life and death in your job.
Yes. So if the traffic situation is such that you can't maneuver your way through to get to the patient early, it can lead to mortalities, high mortalities and morbidities, which we don't want. So when the patient calls you, you are not able to get to the patient in time to provide the needed interventions to send the person to the hospital.
I know that at the moment you're not in the ambulance, but obviously you're supervising the people in them. Are they telling you about these delayed transport needs?
Yes, and sometimes it's a challenge, it's a headache, because they will have to spend more time with the patients, and that's duration. It's hell sometimes. And sometimes even before you get to the patients, you are not able to. So the response time is increased, and that's some patients don't have the time, the patients to wait for you. Sometimes you get there and they have moved the patient in a taxi or some other vehicle.
Right. So the person who's actually charged with making sure that the road network, particularly in the municipality of, which one is it?
Tema West Municipality.
Tema West Municipality is here. So that's your job, to make sure that the municipality is running smoothly. So how does it feel when you hear that, things are not okay?
I feel a bit disappointed, and I sympathize with them. Our road networks, there's a problem. The problem is that most of the people, most of the residents also encroach the road. And when you come to Tema West, we have a plan, a physical plan, where we have the road networks and everything. That we know that there should be a road here, there should be a house here, we have the buffer and all that. But by the time you realize, people have encroached it. Somebody will build a house, and probably about 10 meters from the house or 40 meters, there should be a road. But he builds his wall on that. So the issue now is that, what do we do?
But it's interesting you're saying, what should we do, when in fact you're the one who's been charged with resolving the issue.
They are not working because, as I said, people have encroached. You have to take us a bold step to actually move a wall or a building. When I had to take the bull by the horn and decide to actually pull down a house because it was built right in the middle of the road where other people were not getting access to their office, their home, and then, it was a security threat because you park your car outside walking and you are being attacked by, armed robbers and all that. So I had to take the bull by the horn and say, no, this have to go.
Okay. And there's also a huge informal economy here in Accra. And Benny, you're part of it, right? As a trader in the city, what are some of the challenges that you find in how the city has been designed?
Mostly I'm doing delivery, but the day maybe I'll be busy and will not be able to do delivery. I have to call maybe a motorcycle or some delivery person to do for me. And they charge more than necessary just because of the bad nature of the road. And so it affects our business. And most customers who buy from online, you see that they will not come. They will promise buying and they will not come. So if the system is very well managed and the road, everything is in order, I think it will help those of us that do business online and we are always on the road doing delivery and stuff.
Okay. So Felicia, I want to come back to you because I think at the national government, it was envisioned that there would be a lot of local participation when coming up with some of these policies that set up the cities. Are people really engaged? Because it sounds to me that Bernice here knows exactly what she wants.
It looks like the gap between the local government and the residents is so wide. The local governments have not been able to get close to the people to tell them what they have to know and what we can do for them. So what I do is I try as much as possible to make sure that we set a desk or we are trying to get closer to the residents, like an Uber driver like this. Ask him if he knows wherever he stays, where the local government.
Let me ask him. Do you know where the local government sits?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
We are always busy doing our daily jobs, okay? I don't care about knowing where the local government is. That one, after that one, I don't care about it. But the truth is that, let's take, for example, common traffic light. A policeman stands there and knows that the traffic light is not working. He is more closer to the local government than me. So he should go and report that so that his job can get easier for him or better for him. So he doesn't have to stand there. He can go and do something else instead of standing at the traffic light.
And I have a question to add to that. If somebody is building on a place that's quite obviously not regulated or allowed, why wait until the building has gone all the way up to come and tell them, hey, it's not allowed?
So it takes at least 2 to 3 months for you to move, because we think that, look, apart from that, it's a process that has been laid down.
Okay, yeah, but wouldn't it be easier to just have a policy that prevents any kind of encroachment in the first place as opposed to removing encroachers?
In fact, there is a policy. We need to just enforce the policies. Who enforces what is right?
Yeah.
Okay, who puts the timelines to say, okay, I've gone to see this building and you've written that it should be removed and I realize that it's been built. So we need to question the person who is in charge, and then we enforce it.
All right. So before enforcing, we have to really identify the challenges. And we are at a school, the SOS school, and one of their students wants to tell us what the challenges are for you.
I think for me personally, the biggest problem we have is the drainage systems and the roads as well. Because people may dispose their waste into gutters, maybe they may drink a sachet water and throw it in a bin, or when it's raining, they may take their trash and throw it in the gutter, expecting that the rainwater will wash it away. But it ends up just choking and flooding the roads as well. And because the roads are not all tarred and not all the best, it causes the roads to get muddy. And if you're not driving the biggest car or a 4x4, it could lead you to get stuck and cause you to be late to wherever you're going, or yeah.
Let me hear from some of your fellow students back here. How is it affecting your day-to-day lives? In fact, you are writing a paper about this, right, on urbanization. What have you found in your research?
Because of this urbanization, it's really congesting the roads, so it gives us more of a need for developed roads and infrastructure around the roads. Additionally, I also noticed that due to this congestion on the roads, it really creates a lot of pollution in our atmosphere and our systems. So I think it would be necessary for us to provide different access to transport routes, such as trains, bike lanes, and other modes of transport. Yeah.
I mean, those are really ambitious dreams, and I think everybody in Africa would want that. But do you believe that our governments on the continent are taking us seriously when we tell them we need these things?
Personally, I don't necessarily think they're taking us too seriously, because
as the others said, needs are being communicated, but nothing is really being done about it. And I feel as though if our governments really took us a bit more seriously, more things would be implemented.
So we're talking about governments not necessarily taking young people seriously, and I want to give you a chance to respond because you're the closest that we have to government here, and despite the fact that you've only been in office for 6 months, it's still your responsibility.
Yes. She mentioned the train system, and then very soon the electric buses will be launched, and we'll be using the electric buses, and then the train too will start using. So that we are, at least we are near our promises that we are doing. So fortunately all this are being put in place. But if we don't have good road network, where will the electric buses pass?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. So then it behoves on us as the local government to make sure that our roads are being done well.
But hold on 1 second. I think there's something I missed there. You said that road networks need to be completely perfect in order for the train system to start?
No, in order for the electric buses. We are bringing electric buses.
Okay.
So very soon you are going to see electric buses on the road where school kids are going to use it for free. The senior citizens are going to use for free. Now I'm talking about the road network. We have the rails good. Now the road network, what we have to do is now make sure that the road networks are good. And they can testify. Now we have the drip, that everywhere we are trying to shape the road and let it be more trouble, and then everybody will be happy. So at least we have their consent, and we are doing it perfectly.
Okay. Let me ask Will, why has it taken Ghana so long to start speaking about things like a diversified road network system or different kinds of transport? This was one of the first countries to gain independence on the continent.
So, Edith, let's make this a real debate for a second. There's a bit of a kumbaya energy here, and my job is to break it and get to the heart of what is happening here. What is everything that is being talked about, at the heart of it is a talent and creativity problem. We are led by people who don't have original ideas and don't know how to experiment to get to great ideas. They talk about policy as it is the end of all of things. But policy should serve people. And so if you have a policy that increasingly fails people, you have to be agile to shift that policy to serve people. So there is an endemic behavior of political actors who hide behind policy and plans and do very little.
Okay, are you speaking from experience here? Because I know that you're sort of trying to reimagine the kind of spaces that we occupy.
Yeah, so the world I come from, experimentation and learning is a big part of how you get to solutions, right? So I come from a world, myself and George, we come from a world where you are always constantly mindful that you have a field environment that you're operating in, and you have to be agile to adapt to that environment. Okay. So that mindset needs to be present for any actor who is acting in an environment where there's a breakdown of transportation systems.
All right. Let me speak to Mohammed, because he's been an urban planner for 20 years. You know, essentially, what Will is saying is that you're the ones who don't have an imagination, because for 20 years, nothing has changed.
He's right to some extent. Yeah. Yes, we have to admit where there's failure. The whole challenge, and you hinted earlier, we do have a colonial legacy of an urban structure that concentrated all opportunities to the south along the shoreline. So you have the Accras, the Cape Coast, and the Takoradi. And everybody is trooping down here. Now you have a city that accounts for just 2% of our national land space, carrying over 20% of the population. So you can imagine. With this, we have sprawl, the city just expanding. And so it is reasonable to imagine that no state can catch up with infrastructure expansion when you have a city sprawling at a rate of about 1% per annum, currently as we speak. With this, the last figures I saw indicate that we have an infrastructure financing gap of a ratio of 40-1. So out of 40 parts of investment that is required, we're only able to do 1. This means there is really no prospect of catching up.
Oh, but surely, if things are so bleak, why are we here trying to talk about the future then?
We would get to solutions.
Okay.
And like my friend said, we have to imagine what to do with them. But there is a way.
Okay, we'll come to solutions in just a short while, but I want to speak to Moro, who's standing next to you. Now, Moro is visually impaired, so I just wanted to know what your experience is going through the cities of Tema, Accra, or whatever they may be. Do you feel like they're inclusive spaces?
The environment is, to be frankly speaking, is not accessible at all. Even in the night, me, for instance, I find it difficult to move around unless there is heavy sunlight. But maybe after 5 going, I find it difficult to move because the walkways, open gutters, when it rains, stagnant water, and a lot of obstacles.
Yeah, I've also noticed that there's very few street lights. And so I want to ask you, Moro, do you think it's possible for someone to be fully independent if you're differently abled in this country?
No, it's not possible. You can never be independent.
Right. I asked about inclusion, and I want to come back to the people who are at the back, the students. Do you feel like the city is safe for you guys to walk in as young men and women, as young girls, as young boys, if I may say so?
I don't believe the city is very safe for us. Like in Tema here, there's only like a few police stations around. Police presence is barely filled. So if you are a young child walking around, you would feel anxious. You wouldn't feel very safe unless you have maybe an elder. And if you are lucky and you can afford, you can have someone who can carry around with a car. But if not, you wouldn't feel safe.
Yeah. Let me hear from you. Is this the same experience that you have?
Over time, I feel like Tema and Accra have definitely become less safe. Earlier, when Uber and things became very popular, it was fine to take an Uber, but over time, it's definitely gotten more difficult to move around because you feel like you could be kidnapped or something in the city. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Talking about even being kidnapped. But we also did talk about drains, and sanitation is a major issue in this country. And Christiana, I want to come back to you because I've noticed as I've been walking around the major cities, some of the drains are unfortunately open. There's raw sewage that's running in the city. What kind of risk does that pose to the health of the population?
So you can have a lot of communicable diseases. You can have cholera, you can have malaria, and that's also impacts on the economy because when a person is sick, you won't be able to work. And when you are not able to work, productivity is low. And we can't achieve the goals that we set for ourselves. So living in a clean environment is very crucial. It's very important. It's necessary for us to be able to grow the economy.
Yeah. So at the moment, presently, what are some of the things that you think are being influenced by this lack of clean environment, as you call it?
I think our attitude, if we are able to get a mindset of cleanliness from our infancy, from our homes, it starts from the home. So and then the education system. So if you're home, when you drop something and you are told to pick it and put it in the dustbin, and when you keep garbage and it's raining and you are not told to dump it into the rain, then that attitude, that mindset, if you're able to get it away, then we'll be able to start cleaning our environment and keeping neat.
Yeah. You wanted to add something, right?
I think for me, regarding the waste management service providers, even where I live, they are not accessible. They don't come to those areas.
So how do you guys take care of your rubbish then?
We burn it because even the aboboyas don't even come regularly or rarely even come to where I stay to dispose of the rubbish. So my question goes to her, asking how are we supposed to dispose of rubbish then? Because then again, burning is not sustainable for the environment.
Absolutely not. So that's a good question, Felicia.
You see, we have our, depending on where you are, with the Tema West, we have our environmental department, where we even have forms that you have to fill. Okay. When you come to my place, I have the decks. I'll make sure that everybody is on top.
I like how you're saying, when you come to my place, please go to her place. Let me hear from Cecilia.
We are in our offices because there are people in the community that we have to serve. And the people in the community are closer to these happenings better than we are. So we would also ask that the community member, that's why it's called inclusive plan. We are practicing a system of decentralization. So at the lower level, we have the zonal councils, we have the urban councils, we have the sub-metros. That is where we want our people to also come to us. Because if you say that you don't know the district assembly and then you don't care, fine. But something is happening that we have to be interested. You quickly report to the nearest office. Right. And it is our responsibility also to know, because apart from the main municipal assembly, we have zonal sub-offices around us. That is also there. And then with the area of the transportation, I think that it is not only about the road infrastructure, but it's also about the connectivity, and it's also about alternative means of transport. And then with the issue
sorry, Cecilia, let me just move on to Will because of the interest of time, because we're already talking about the future, right? And this is an area that you're very comfortable in. First question, how do we get people more interested in how their cities and their spaces look? Because Cecilia is saying, look, they simply aren't.
The general feeling I get is that a lot of Ghanaians cannot envision what a functional city looks like because they've never lived in one. So to be able to show them what it might look like, you need to almost show them an example of what that is, to get them excited about what the future could be. We've made this city dominant with cars in ways that it's not designed for human beings anymore. Today, I'm proud to say that 1 out of 3 bikes that come to my house to deliver food is an EV bike. Now, these are the things that we are saying that if we are given kind of open space to innovate without crazy regulation and all of these things, and an open experimental kind of energy from political actors, the problems can be solved. There's so much global capital looking for great opportunities to invest, and we always look like there's nothing that can be done. It's so strange.
All right. Patrick, let's hear some solutions for you. What do you think needs to be done to make Tema, Accra, and other cities within Ghana more sustainable, more efficient?
My work is not about enjoying the beauty of the city. I mean, I'm always after the money. So enough of all these fancy flyovers. We need roads that goes through every suburb in the city. Okay. Because if there's traffic, you can easily maneuver to different directions. One of the things that most of my riders complain about is when you are charged 50 cedis from here to Hashima, but before you get there, the price increases, and most people don't understand why. And they think that the price has been calculated already. Okay. So they don't want to understand why the price should increase. But if there should be alternative roads, we can use that and get there easily and make my work easy for me. I can make more money as well. So enough of the flyovers.
Okay, so enough flyovers. You want functionality, form over substance. All right, solutions.
Let me begin with the individuals. Our attitude needs to change. Like moving around, littering the compound and pouring rubbish inside the gutter, all of that need to stop. We need to have this clean mentality. And from the NGOs, like the way, or should I say private entities, just NGOs, how they are able to bring up ideas, how they are able to bring up plans, how they are able to bring up innovative ways, I think they should help one way or another, not just leave everything to the government. And the government also needs to play a major role, as in the case of the roads. I mean, NGOs can't afford certain tasks. They can't afford to fund certain projects. So governments can come in here to fund the NGOs to help them do whatever they are supposed to do. Or governments can also take the initiative and maybe expand roads. Because sometimes you can clearly see that the traffic jam is due to the small nature of the road. So they can expand the roads and maybe provide more dustbins and all of that. And then basically there should also be effective supervision in terms of on the part of government. So if government put a government official to do this work, there should be people to supervise the person well.
Very well laid out. Let's hear some more solutions.
One solution that would help us with this pollution issue in particular would be more affordable housing, because it's seen to be an issue that a lot of the population in Tema live in slums and are squatters in uncompleted buildings. This leads to very poor waste management and just very horrible attitudes towards their environment. So if government were to direct funding to provide more affordable housing for these low mid-income people, they will be more encouraged to participate in more clean energy activities, dispose their waste possibly, because they'll be able to have those facilities. They'll have the dustbins, they'll have the homes, they'll be able to have proper drainage systems. They wouldn't have to bath outside, they wouldn't have to throw their waste in the gutters right next to them. So if governments were to see this and redirect their funding to make it more of a solution than making them a problem, I think we'd have a better city.
Okay. And finally, let me hear your thoughts, Felicia.
Get close to the governors, because whatever you have can help us. You see, because you are getting into a market where there are a lot of competitions. And if it's good, but you come alone, and there is no other that, okay, what you are using is very good. It's helping my assembly or my municipal not to get, the pollution and all that. I could tell you, look, I'm bringing you in. I'll make sure that everybody who wants to do this should come. And I will give you the people, and then they'll work, and everybody will be comfortable.
So collaboration, I think that's been said by a lot of people here, and indeed it is the big takeaway for me, that if African cities from Tema to Antananarivo and even Kinshasa want to become the cities that William has described, we all need to work together. Thank you all for watching.